Hello.
Bonjour.
Konnichiwa.
And welcome back to the ESL Hearthstone Premiership. It's card time, baby. Well, that was lovely.
That was great, wasn't it?
And even more lovely is the games that are about to come up, and my two favourite boys back on the desk. How's everyone doing?
Not too bad, mate. Yeah, it was a very interesting series last time. And yeah, this could be a quick one.
Yeah, we're looking for a fast game here. You said it might be speedy, Leroy.
I think it's going to be super speedy. We've got two aggro lineups coming up, and they're just going to go at it, hopefully.
Yeah.
Get it over with, yeah.
A marathon or a sprint?
A sprint.
What, yeah?
Yeah, first person to deal 30 damage to their opponent wins. Go.
Nice. I like it. I like it. It's aggressive, it's fast, and that's what we want to see here at EGX. Not from the people that are watching, but just from our players. And it is, of course, going to be Mysterious versus Toastmonster. Now, for these two boys that are going to be clashing up, once again, it is an M&M face-off.
I love a team kill.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's been very common this time, isn't it?
It has been. M&M, they've been through the wars this event, but let's see if their players are going to be able to finesse it up on the stage, as they are ready to get themselves up there, as they're going to walk on over, get slotted down, bums in seats, and ready to play some Hearthstone. Toastmonster and Mysterious moving on up, going to slide themselves in. Both of these players, a big rep in the Hearthstone scene, especially in the UK scene, obviously known very well. A little bit of a struggle there. It seems like they didn't quite get it.
Oh, Mysterious is so keen to sit down.
He wasn't interested.
They've been backstage for 2 hours watching the last series, and they're so ready to just go and
just wants to play.
Yeah, he's ready, eager.
I don't blame him, to be fair, you know.
It's fighting talk. And what does that mean from Mysterious?
He's in Toastmonster's head already. Toast has sat down and he's gone, I can't hack this. He wasn't even hanging around.
He's baited me in for the handshake. Not ideal. Oh, there you go. Look, he's fine. He's all right. Toast ain't bothered. He knows how to deal with it. Let's see what Toast thought before he just got goofed on stage, as we did have an interview him from earlier on. Let's check that out.
So I'm Toastmonster and I play Hearthstone for M&M Gaming. It took me about a year to get into sort of the competitive side of Hearthstone. Before that, I was kind of playing other games for a kind of competitive outlet. And then over the past year or so, I've sort of started focusing on Hearthstone a lot more, putting more time into it, more effort and practice, and attending more tournaments and stuff. And that's kind of led me to where I am today. I've always sort of enjoyed the competitive side of games, even when I played things like World of Warcraft and then stuff like League of Legends, obviously naturally just lends itself to that. So it felt like quite a natural fit for Hearthstone too. So this season of ESL has been a little bit different to me for the last one. It's sort of my second season in the Premiership. First one I was kind of new, it was all different and interesting, but this season I've been sort of travelling to a lot of tour stops and things, so tournament preparations come a lot more naturally to me this time. So I'm able to just put time in and use that time efficiently to sort of stay ahead of the competition.
With a name like Toastmonster, do you think he uses toaster bags to make food?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? We never know.
Leroy, what are your thoughts on toaster bags?
I don't know about what's a toaster bag.
What do you mean, what's a toaster bag?
I don't know what a toaster bag
is. Is that a thing where you can make?
Yeah, you get a toaster bag. You could get anything in a mate. You can get salmon in a toaster bag if you want.
Yeah, he's bread orientated. That's what he cares about. There was a picture of him when he was in a bath full of toast.
Just
literally,
toast.
Yeah. That's how he got on the HGG team. He took a photo of himself in a bath full of toast. He put it up, and people went wild for it. Wild for it.
Wild. What do you put in a toaster, Leroy?
Bread.
Good. Good work. Can dogs look up?
Yes.
Harry seemed a bit unsure on that one. Nice. Well, that's good. Classic Harry. But everyone else on stage seems like they're getting themselves ready. And the new man, the limelight now, onto Mysterious. He is a bit of an enigma, isn't he? You never really know what he's up to or what he's thinking. He's a bit of a character.
He certainly is. And well, he's unpredictable as well when it comes to tournaments. Sometimes he's bringing control. In the early days, he was bringing these rogue sort of death rattle decks where it's N'Zoth in everything, and it was kind of crazy. These days, very aggressive player as well. He's a big fan of Odd Paladin. Yeah. Only person who's brought it to this tournament this week, and well, worked for him so far.
Is that the corruption from the old God Whispers?
Is that the corruption from the old God Whispers?
Yeah, because you mentioned N'Zoth, mate.
Yeah,
I was working it in.
The old God.
I'm just trying to. I'm just getting my WoW humour out there.
I didn't expect it. You know?
Yeah, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, no.
It's fine, Leroy. Whatever.
He's rotated out now. No one cares about N'Zoth.
God damn it, Leroy. See, there we go. That's a throwback meme
yeah,
to
it.
There we go, Leroy Jenkins. Classic. We do have the picks and bans, though, so we can check those out as well. What's going to go down with this, boys?
Well, we noticed, I think it was Toastmonster who's actually brought the Zulok deck. as well. And most of them, to be fair, have been bringing different decks lineup, but like we spoke about before, it's going to be very aggressive. And also the Toastmonster, he's brought aggro mage here, and one thing to take into account, it is one of those decks where either win very fast or very slow. And even in one of the weeks in the Prem, literally, I'm not too sure which player it was who brought the aggro mage, but literally just lost every single time, just due to the fact that he didn't get any of the mana worms in turn 1 and stuff. So he's a little bit of luck on his side for that deck.
Yeah, it comes down to your openings, and it comes down to sort of how quickly you can get on with the game and push the damage to face, usually. Unless you've got Alioneth in your opening hand, a card that draws you so many cards that you just can't lose.
You need 2 hands for all of those cards.
Yeah. Illegal in the game.
Physically impossible. Absolutely outrageous. It should be a pretty tight series here. Now, the first game of the day obviously was a long one, right? It was drawn out. It was like spreading across the toast. The toast was buttered. Is this one going to be a bit faster? How long are we looking on the cooker time for this one?
I'm not too sure, but it's definitely going to be much, much quicker. You know, this is the first proper aggro match we've actually seen all weekend. And, you know, I don't think we'll see it again, but in terms of a lot of this, it should be about an hour to see how things go. But it depends which decks they play first against which matchup.
Is that a sudden change in the meta as well? We're seeing these much, much longer games compared to what we saw in the online season. It seems like, especially at this event, it has been wild how close they've been.
It's one of the slowest metas ever. I think even some of the expansions that have been printed in sort of recent memory for this rotation of cards have been cards that are sort of weaker on average than we've seen in the past. And as a result, it's meant the early game has been a lot slower. Slower decks are better.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, but it seems like we are ready. Mysterious versus Toastmonster. They've got their marshmallows out. They're going to be barbecuing them. Hopefully they don't get burnt, but let's find out which one of them is going to be burnt into this one. It's over to you two. It's XL, Hello, Lethal. I've combined them both. It works.
I liked it. Cheers, Jackie. Now, of course, straight away in this lineup, I did expect him not to play that tempo mage straight away, or the aggro mage, you could say. But with that Secret Keeper and the Freeze Trap as well, not a bad mulligan for him.
Well, we saw this yesterday with Duncan, didn't we, where he got this matchup. He got the Secret Hunter into the Token Druid, and the Token Druid had such a nutty hand that it didn't matter that Duncan had hit the 1-drops. Here, though, Toastmonster has got the perfect start. He's got Diamole going first into Razormaw. He's even got the right adapt. He's got the attack adapt, and suddenly pressure is on. The game is afoot, and Mysterious has to react to this as quickly as he can, which he may be able to do, depending on sort of some of the cards in his hand. He's got the Spellstone for removal, he's got the Saronite Chain Gang for taunt, and he's got the Death Knight, which he hasn't played on 7 yet, but he might play it on 6 this game. So
yeah, you'd hope so as well, and at least he hasn't got a Nourish as well to help him out even further with that wild growth into Coin Nourish. But it's like I said before, he's got that Chain Gang as well to just hold Toastmonster back a little bit more, and he's got that Giggling Inventor on top of that.
Yeah, it's an interesting turn here because although it's early days, Toastmonster he can sort of set up a plan where he can either decide if he wants to play a trap here, or he could have hero powered, not buffed the Secret Keeper immediately and gone for 2 traps next turn, potentially just hoping to draw a Spellstone so that he could buff that up. It does mean that there are other draws in his deck that are less good, so if he got a different trap or another 2-drop or something else he wanted to play, he wouldn't have been able to play it. So it's probably more efficient to play the Secret now, which is what he's gone for.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You've got to try to make the most of that Secret Keeper as much as you can, but, you know, speak of the devil, we're talking about the Chain Gang as well, spoke about the Giggling Inventor, but now he's got a Plague on top of that, so if Toastmonster still has a fair amount of minions on the board, you know, it's going to be held back for a fair bit for the next few turns.
Yeah, well, you say he's going to be held back for a fair bit. He's used the coin there on his 5-drop, so it's only the Saronite and potentially the Spellstone that he can play next turn. It means that he won't be able to, well, he could have Spellstone the 3-2 that turn, he could have done some removal, but now he's going to get value traded off the board a little bit. Toastmonster's going to keep his minions on the board. He's just deciding whether he wants to play the freezing trap or not on the 2-1 so that it can't attack into his minion and kill it, which I think is probably a good idea. And he's just going to look to push this damage before things really get rolling for Mysterious in terms of those taunts.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a lot to deal with in the next couple of turns as well. Of course, with that stone, like you mentioned, can at least take out something just to help him out a little bit more. But so many taunts these next few 4 turns, even at Malfurion as well afterwards. Got a lot to play with.
It's actually a really difficult decision for Toastmonster. It's why he's slowed down. Because he has to decide whether he thinks he can end the game quick enough or push enough damage quick enough that having the Giggling Inventor frozen and then come back out on turn 7 is worth it. Because then he has to push through the Annoyatrons again. What he doesn't know is that Mysterious has a better turn 7 play anyway in the Death Knight. So freeze trapping the 2-1 is just a good idea. It's just going to work well for him. Yeah,
that's right. No, it makes absolutely perfect sense. And to be fair, even with Mysterious's hand, he still has plenty to do, plenty of options as well, which is the main thing. It may not kill all the minions as of yet, but at least we'll keep them at bay. And, you know, even with additional of another Spellstone now, he can actually just use one anyway, because obviously you've got another one which he top-decked just now, so not too bad.
Yeah, and that's actually a really difficult card to pick up as well, because his plan up until this turn is hit turn 5, play subject 9. It literally draws you all your secrets. It's what you want to do. You want to get as much cards into your hand and effectively boost your deck. The flanking strike in this moment, in this turn, is actually really quite good. It deals with one of the Saronite bodies. You can obviously trade away. Again, you can present a board that's a 3/3 and a Secret Keeper that's just going to continue to get buffed or threaten to be buffed. The problem with it is that you play off curve a little bit. You waste mana. You give yourself sort of more awkward turns moving forward. So that's, even though he's only got 2 cards in hand, it's actually a really difficult decision. It's quite tricky for him to work out what to do, because he could next turn, if he wanted to, he could play the subject 9 this turn, play the flanking strike and a secret next turn, and sort of keep using up his mana. That would mean that the Saronite Chain Gang could get bounced if he doesn't want to kill it.
Yeah, this is why it's a little bit of a pain with Druid, because with the lack of AoEs, yes, sure, fair enough, you can keep him at bay with all the taunts, but sometimes when they put that Secret Keeper down turn 1, it is such a pain to deal with, it really is. And now even with a second Plague, it just delays things even further. So it's nice that he's getting plenty more options, but he needs to try and find a way just to keep that aggression. But as long as he's got some kind of ball control, he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, he's definitely fine. And Mysterious is attacked into the traps now, and the Snake Trap will get procced, the Venom Strike Trap will get procced. And it's because he's got the Spreading Plague, so he can take full advantage of this. Play the Spreading Plague, effectively heal for so much and add so much board presence that it might be insurmountable for Toastmonster to get back into this. This could be a game that, although it looked very good early, it looked like Toastmonster could potentially get away with it and win early with what was a fantastic opening start. It's all gone wrong here, and it's probably going to, well, I don't want to call it early, but he's just added 30 health to the board in terms of taunt. That's going to really slow down any aggression that Toastmonster has on his plate.
Well, if he gets branching, he'll be basically saying see you later, or even the Savage Roar.
Mossy Horror.
Oh, what a time to get that. I swear it's every time with me and you cast, we see something like this happen every single time. But yeah, what a great option. But then again, yeah, sure, fair enough, it's a great card, but he's still got a second Plague. Yeah,
and it's not actually coming out this turn either. So although he's got it and it's there, he has to be thinking, well, what if I have this and my opponent just plays a strong shell scavenger? He's back for more. If he just plays that next turn and buffs everything, and it creates such a catastrophe for him on the board that he just can't beat that either.
That's it, of course. It's like with the branching and everything else, if you upgrade it to 3/5, then of course that Mossy Horror won't make any difference until he uses that second Plague. But he does have that Soul of the Forest now as well, which means at any stage, if he does want to use that, then he can get everything back up to 2/2. In terms of the amount of minions on the board, it's not really too much of a bad shout. I can't really think of any other situation he would want to use it, apart from Whisper in the Woods later on, depending on how many cards he's got in his hand. So he's got different options here.
Well, my favourite option, as always, when it comes to us casting Mysterious, he seems to have this decision every game where he has the option to play the Death Knight on 7, and I really rate that. I love playing a Death Knight on 7. Never does it, though.
Loving him.
He never does it.
It's because he can probably hear you and just go, you know what, anything Leroy says, I'm just not going to do it.
I don't believe Leroy. He's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why would I listen to him? It makes no sense, does it? I'm here, you're here.
I mean, I would have liked to see a Death Knight on 7 there, but that's just me, you know. That's just what I want from a game. Because now, Toastmonster's, what he's going to do is he's going to play the Mossy Horror, he's going to push 7 damage, and he's going to hope to try and finish out the game soon. We can see that it's just not going to work, and actually Mysterious has baited him a bit. Next turn he can play the Death Knight, and it's all going to go wrong for Toast and his plan to be aggressive and push his damage through quickly. But it's still probably not right. I don't know. It's hard to tell these days.
It pretty much is, isn't it? I don't blame you. And yeah, like you mentioned before, you know, you can use that Mossy Horror, you can put the explosive trap down afterwards, but won't really make too much difference because he's still got plenty of options. Like I was saying before, he's got Malfurion, you can put another Tornado afterwards as well. And if he has another Snake Trap or anything like that, he puts down and baits that out. Again, another Plague.
Yeah, he really is in a tricky spot here where he wants to win, he wants to push damage, but in the back of his mind, he knows that he's basically discarded a kill command already. We saw that with the tracking. He doesn't have many ways to go over the top of Taunt in terms of damage. So he has to fight for board still. He has to still take board off of his opponent. And to do so, means that, yeah, he might want to do stuff like this, where he kills one of the taunts, and therefore kills the 2/2 with his Mossy Horror to just reduce how much stuff there is fighting back against him.
Yeah, it's kind of like quite similar when you see we see the even lock as well with the Defar and stuff like that. It kind of makes more sense. Just try and make it as cost effective as possible. Even if it's just to take out one of the 2/2s, it's better than leaving another one on the board for no reason. It's worth the damage intake.
He could have Mossy Horror first there if he wanted to, and then traded his 4/3 into one of the 2/2s. That would have made him have a 4/2 and a 3/2 instead of a 4/3 and a 3/1 on board. But he could have obviously traded his 3/1 to another 2/2. So he's done that because 2s line up worse against 3s and 1s than against 2s and 0s, effectively. So he's made the trades more awkward for Mysterious unless he has like swipe or something. So Mysterious needs extra cards now in order to deal with this.
It's quite funny actually, because in Mysterious's original mulligan, he did actually have 2 swipes. Of course, you wouldn't want it straight off the bat, which is completely understandable due to the fact that it is a secret hunter. But yeah, he's probably going to think to himself, yeah, I could probably do with one of those now.
He certainly could. It's all going wrong a bit here for Toastmonster, I think. He can still fight for board. He still has the ability, to be honest, to play. He can play the Houndmaster on the Subject 9 because it's a beast. He can do some trades, and he can play some of the traps that give him board. So he can play the Venom Strike trap and the Snake trap to make it so that when his opponent attacks in, he summons a bunch of minions. Fortunately, even if that happens, even if a bunch of minions are summoned, not only does Mysterious have a big board, which he's fighting with already, he has the Death Knight, which he still has in hand. He has Spreading Plague. He has so many ways to gain armor and to get board back, even if he starts losing it, that it's looking very, very bad for Toastmonster, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, just a little bit bad, isn't it, really, to be fair? It's one thing to take into account, of course. Toastmonster's going to realise that the cards Mysterious has in his hand, he's had them for quite a while, so he might assume that, oh, it might be a Savage Roar, oh, it might be Branching or anything like that, just to be patient. But playing the Explosive Trap now, I think it's probably the best time to use it out of any other time.
It's an interesting turn, because what he's done is he's obviously appreciating that he's only at 15 health, so he's making a play that if Mysterious has the lethal, if he has the Savage Roar in hand, if he has the Branching Paths, he'll obviously make those, or he'll play those cards, buff his minions, and try and just kill his opponent, Toastmonster. So he's taken what is a little bit more of a defensive line, but it has the higher ceiling. There's more ability for this to punish Mysterious if he attacks into the wrong, well, if he chooses the wrong place to attack with his minions. Suddenly he can find himself super behind, and in this winning position that he's in, that's sort of probably a good idea for what Toastmonster's going for. He wants to give Mysterious the most opportunity to make a mistake that sort of cripples him or loses him the game.
Yeah, that's right. And Mysterious, he hasn't really had much card draw, I think, from what I've noticed. He hasn't had any UIs yet, and of course, from what we mentioned before, he's only used 1 Soul Lord of Forest, which is perfectly fine. He's still got 2 Whispering Woods in his deck, but with the amount of cards he has in his hand, it's not going to really be that cost effective. It's not going to be much use unless he gets another Nourish or uses an Infestation, which he hasn't even had one yet, quite surprisingly.
The thing that's also interesting, actually, about the play is that Mysterious doesn't actually play like that. He doesn't tend to go face, and he doesn't tend to do those sorts of things. Like, we saw it in his games yesterday, that he was much more interested in controlling the board and doing sort of the trades that facilitate him to win the long game. So if Toast had known that a bit, if Toast had sort of thought, maybe he'd have wanted to have gone the other way with that and waited, playing the other traps, getting more board, getting more snakes on the board that can trade into more of his minions.
Yeah, and of course with Toastmonster now, if he does use that hero power, at least he'll be able to take out 2 of the minions. Those 2 1/5s will be left standing still. But one thing to take into account again is the fact that he'll be happy to know that he shouldn't die by Savage Roar as of yet, even with 2 minions on the board. So it's not too bad so far, but you've got to remember, he's so low on health, he's trying to be as cautious as possible. But against a Token Druid, I'm not surprised, really.
Yeah, he's in this weird spot again where he can choose to use the Deathstalker now, which is what he's doing. It sort of forgoes the ability for him to use it later to clear a board. He's basically hoping that Mysterious doesn't have Ultimate Infestation in hand, because an Ultimate Infestation here kills his Mossy Horror, draws him so many cards, he goes Whispering Woods, he just wins the game. An Ultimate Infestation is just such a game-winning card that he's decided, look, I can't play around that, I can't expect him to do that. Even if he does that, I can't beat that. So there's no point in me holding this Death Knight. I need to start making beasts and getting board as early as possible and as well as possible.
Yeah, as you can see, it's definitely one of his win conditions as well. one thing to remember is the fact that even when he hero powers as much as he likes and gets as many minions on the board, I think it's just a little bit too late. It takes too many turns, and even by event at some stage, he will get that card draw he vitally needs. And there is some stages with Token Druid where when you get to that point where you have too many minions, then it's quite a struggle to get anything like that out.
Yeah, yeah. So he's getting them out, and he's making the push. And what he's saying is, he's saying,
either clear it,
I have one card in hand. This card is going to kill you. So Toastmonster sat there, and he knows that. He's probably very aware that this is either a branching paths or a savage roar or a strong shell scavenger, and that next turn he is just toast. Literally.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. Yeah, because just calculating it now, he's got at least 24 damage on board. But even if he takes a couple out, it's not going to make too much of a difference. If he takes out 2 minions, then I think he should still be okay for lethal, from the top of my head anyway.
It's going to be close. It depends what he does here. If he Hound Masters and trades and takes a... Well, in fact, if it attacked last turn with the 2/4, not knowing obviously his opponent was going to spend all of his mana and not hero power down the Mossy, but what he could have done is he could have bumped off the other Scarab as well this turn if he'd have taken the trade last turn. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but it's definitely an option that was available to him. This though, this looks pretty close, doesn't it? Have you had a quick count?
How good's your maths? Well, just having a quick look, as you can see, it's got 15, 17, 20, so it's got at least 20 without the swipe anyway, so yeah, it's perfectly fine.
If the trap is Snake Trap or Venom Strike Trap, it's lethal. And Mysterious should know he should know Toastmonster's decks well enough to not miss lethal here, I think. Well, I'm hoping. He's counting. He's doing what we did, but a lot slower to make sure that he hasn't got it wrong.
Literally, he's actually not writing the cards, sorry, the actual cards on a bit of paper. He's actually just doing the workings out, like back at school or something.
Yeah, it's certainly lethal here.
Yeah.
And as you see, he's taken it. And that's going to be, well, we said it'd be quick games, but that's...
We jinxed it a little bit, I think. It's like, I did have a feeling like it would be a slow one, but I think like if there was any lineups in any matchups, I think this probably would have been like the slowest one, to be fair.
Yeah. It's definitely the slowest one with Token Druid. So now we've got aggro decks versus aggro decks, and we've got some really even faster games coming up. There's no 40-minute Odd Warrior matchups.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Odd Warrior this weekend, so you know, it makes a nice change to actually see a lot of aggro this time. We've seen some aggro before, but not aggro on aggro anyway. But yeah, this is the turning point. Now, this is where we're going to see a lot more of it, of course. Now, we do have that Zulok, we have the aggro mage. But I've only seen it once in the whole of the Prem, which is a couple of weeks ago, where I said, I'm not sure which player it was, but he used aggro mage 3 times in a row, and because he didn't get any mana worms or any decent starts, he literally was just like, this is great, this is fun.
It's a tough deck to win with when you don't get the early start. He's got... Well, so the thing about aggro matchups that I quite like is that when it comes down to aggro versus aggro, the stuff like Hunter and the stuff like Mage sometimes struggles to win because it's not so board-based. It's sort of more burn-based. This Hunter less so because it has Spellstone, which is obviously phenomenal at taking board. But the burn-based aggro decks struggle against the board-based aggro decks, which is why Paladin and Zoo are both banned, because they just cannot get the board. So even if you have the Mana Worm, you just lose anyway to like a Flame Imp or to Hero Power in the case of Paladin. So they've both banned those decks, and they'll be looking to, in both of these matchups, take board as soon as possible and to push the damage, which is always quite an interesting battle, if you ask me. Yeah,
we're not going to see Zulok this turn, but it's quite nice actually, because I think this tournament, so we actually expected a lot of even lock here, and why not? We did, to be fair. So it's nice to see something a little bit different, but we were talking about that aggro mage, he does have it, and after I said about that Mana Worm situation, I was thinking to myself, do you know what, Toast would probably just get 2 Mana Worms, after me saying that I've not seen, in all 3 matches of that Prem week, not one appeared in anyone's mulligan.
He doesn't have 2 Mana Worms, but he does have a Kirin Tor secret on turn 2, which is a nice turn. He's
loving life now.
It's nice. He hasn't had his 1, he hasn't got his 2, so he's probably a bit upset about that. But Mysterious has missed his 1 drop, and his 2 drop is actually sort of weak. So it's sort of give and take. There's a bit of a 50-50 there. But what I thought was interesting is Mysterious, he went first, which means he doesn't have the coin, he doesn't have the ability to proc counterspell, but he didn't keep the Spellstone, which is a card that's often regarded as, well, the card in the deck. It's the card that you want to play in any sort of aggro matchup, any one of these where it takes a 50-50.
And with those arcane missiles, it was all right.
Yeah.
A little bit risky, but he thought, you know what, I'll take it.
That was risky.
Yeah, I think he just realised that, you know, it is very, very risky doing those kind of things, but even if it missed, you know, it could just literally hero power next turn and finish the job. But
well, he wants to protect his
doesn't
Kirin Tor. He wanted to protect. He didn't want to play his Kirin Tor in the counter spell because he wants to protect it. And now he might, well, he won't do the same. He might do the same thing with Cinderstorm, but he could also have played the Luna there because it's a 2/4, so it doesn't actually trade badly with the board. What he's doing is he's just dealing with the early aggression that Mysterious has, and eventually he's going to find a perfect time to get down the Kirin Tor in the counter spell, which is only a one-off in his deck, by the way. Mysterious won't necessarily play around it all the time and block the Spellstone that's coming out this turn. So he could even go, he could, if he wanted to, go Archaeologist, coin Kirin Tor counterspell and really put some pressure on for Mysterious to feel like he has to play the Spellstone and then counter it, because it's more likely to be explosive runes, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. And even right at the beginning, so going back to turn 1 as well, another reason is because he could have easily adapted that minion and could have given it +3, could have given it stealth, could have done a lot of things to make Toastmonster be a little bit of a pain, you could say.
Yeah, I think it's a nice heads-up play, actually, using the Arcane Missiles, even though there's obviously the failure rate where if all of your missiles miss, you're just in trouble. You know, you've wasted.
That's it, really.
but if only one missile hits, you might even have to use the coin there to coin out a ping, a hero power on it, which is still sort of awkward.
And so, of course, Mysterious Explosive...
yeah?
I suppose it's gone straight away, so not too bad. Most of the minions are like for around 3 health anyway, so not too much of a loss, but at least it's something to kind of help Toastmonster a little bit on his way.
Oh, well, Toastmonster's about to have a turn where he draws the cards. He drew... So Primordial Glyph ends up on the right-hand side of the hand as well, which means he can just play it again. Oh no, he didn't pick Primordial Glyph anyway, he picked Dragon's Fury to play around the Spellstone that's coming this turn. Which
That's
actually,
a little bit of a change,
do you know what? That's a really good heads-up play as well. I like that. So Mysterious plays this, he's got his 3/3s down, and now Toastmonster has a way where some of the time he can clear this. He's got a couple of secrets in the deck, which obviously cost 3 mana. Or, yeah, he's got a couple of secrets still left in the deck. They cost 3 mana. He's got 2 fireballs in the deck, which cost 4. They are the ways that he can clear this board if he so desires, or if he sort of wants to hit that. He obviously still has a load of 1-cost spells and 2-cost spells which won't clear the board. So he needs to hit it here. He needs to hit it hard, but or wait and do it next turn.
Yeah, I wouldn't really blame him to wait till next turn anyway. He's still got plenty of options anyway, and of course, first thing he's want to do is just clear everything anyway. But
oh, I don't know about this.
Ooh.
So he's taken the safe route. So so his thinking is that instead of either waiting with the Dragon's Fury or so that he could play it in combination with the Cinderstorm next turn, he is deciding that he wants to make sure that there's a guaranteed clear. So he thinks that based on sort of cards alone, sort of 1v1 draws off the top of your deck, he can win this matchup and take board control and beat Mysterious's cards with his cards, which, to be fair, could happen. I mean, it's looking like that at the moment, isn't it? Where this turn he can play all of his 2-drops in a Cinderstorm, probably kill the 4/3. It's about 50-50, and maybe get there. So it's quite a nice play by him there to recognise that he doesn't need to use all of his resources to the maximum. He can sort of throw away the Cosmic Anomaly, clear the board for definite, and then win from there on in. But well, there's one card that'll put a massive stop to that, and that's Rexar. If Mysterious gets Rexar at some point, he's going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, this is it. And one thing Toastmonster's going to know straight away is that as soon as you put that Houndmaster down, he knows Mysterious hasn't really got much to play. Don't get me wrong, like, Mysterious does have that weapon to kind of trade with some of the minions as he's waiting for others. But it's looking pretty bleak at this stage, considering the circumstances. At the beginning, it wasn't too bad, but as soon as he had that ball clear, he knew straight away. He was like, yeah, I'm in trouble here.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's looking even better. Like, the longer the game goes on without Mysterious getting anything of value, any Subject 9s or any Rexars, the better this is for Toastmonster, which is basically what's happening. I mean, there's not really any pressure on Toastmonster to even attack into the face here. So Mysterious using that bow to face for damage has sort of given Toastmonster the heads up that they're traps that activate when he attacks face. So he just doesn't need to. He can just wait. If he wanted to, he could play both of these Sorcerer's Apprentices, play a secret and ping, and just be patient. If he wanted to play around the bow charges, that's an option he has.
And this is the thing as well with aggro mage. Normally they have to try and get the job done quick, or else that's it really, and they kind of run out of steam, run out of tempo. And it's quite, it's quite hard for that at this kind of stage. But even though right now, it's still got plenty of options, but Mysterious, absolutely none so far.
But that's the thing, it all changes in aggro matchups where you want to get value. You want to get as much as you can out of every card that you have. Oh, he's... where he could have played that turn a little bit differently and fit in the flame elemental there. It might just be a decision that he didn't want to play it, and so he played in a certain order to make sure that just maybe potentially tilts Mysterious, where Mysterious goes, maximize your efficiency with that turn. So
it will have to at this stage, but that's the thing. At least with his weapon, he's got a couple more minions he can trade with, anyways. If that does happen, but it does have that frostbolt as well. We can fireball that straight afterwards. So not looking too bad.
Value. He's given Mysterious value with the bow here. It's the line he's taken where he said, I'm fine with you having this, but it's a line that's meant that now Mysterious is getting back into it based on the fact that they're both drawing one card a turn. They're both looking for, well, Mysterious will be looking for Deathstalker Rexxar. Toastmonster will be looking for Aluneth. They are the only two cards that matter at the moment in terms of what you can draw. And it's going to be very close. It's going to come down to the wire. And he's even ignoring the 3-2, which I don't know if I agree with there. That's very aggressive play from Mysterious. Who's,
That's changed things quite a lot, hasn't it, to that stage. And now he can actually get as much card draw as he like. Going to fatigue, that's not even going to matter. It might have not reached to that stage, depending on the circumstances, how many cards he has left. And now, you were talking about before, Mysterious needs something to at least continue so he can keep spanning that hero power to get some minions out. But it looks like he might not even get the opportunity at this stage.
No, at this point, it's that's
not going to help.
Mysterious was so in. He was so in on drawing Deathstalker Rexxar there. It was a bit weird. And then, because he didn't attack with the bow into the 3-2, and he decided he was going to push damage to face, which is very sort of, well, not typically Mysterious play.
What, taking his time?
Yeah, well, no, just based on how he usually plays. He usually plays very defensively, but there he was very aggressive. And now what it means is that he either has to kill the 3-2 or ignore it if he wants to save his bow charge with the traps that are coming out. And the discount on the spells, based on sort of all the cards that have been drawn by the Aluneth, is actually going to have a huge effect on the rest of the game where things just get super out of hand. This is like really, really out of hand. It's going to be sort of ridiculous how far ahead Toastmonster gets now based on sort of these couple of draws and these couple of turns. And it's probably going to be curtains. I can't really see Mysterious coming back into this in any sort of easy way here.
That's right. And even with that freezing trap, it would have delayed things further. But of course, Toastmonster has that counter spell anyway, so it won't even make too much of a difference. And the fireball on top of that could just end things. If he did have that Rexxar, then fair enough, he could maybe get something with Taunt, something with Lifesteal, just to keep him going and just kind of build his tempo again. But at this stage, things are completely different. And I find it quite funny now. He gets both his mana worms around the turn 13-14 mark.
Yeah, see? This was a game where he didn't get mana worms, he didn't get the 2-3s, and because it was drawn out, because it became a battle of who can get sort of the most value out of their individual cards, and because Toastmonster sort of recognised that he could win the game if he just used the first Cosmic Anomaly and the Dragon's Fury to guarantee a board clear, he's actually just won it based on sort of value and getting more out of his cards than Mysterious in the end.
Yeah, that's right. It was really, really cost-effective, that game. And yeah, it's like you mentioned before, even though they didn't get the best of drops and, got pretty sweet arcane missiles to begin with, just due to the fact that he knew that he could adapt his next minion. And, a minion like that could have stayed on the board for a long time. Like, if he gave it +3 health, anything like that, yeah, sure, fair enough. It wouldn't do a huge amount of damage, but over time, it kind of builds up, it gets to that circumstances. But yeah, not having that Rexxar the whole game really, really damaged him. You could just see that he was waiting for it, he's running out of plays. There's not really much else he could do, and just never drew it in the end. But sometimes these things happen.
It was a game of 6 drops. Both of them have very aggressive decks that top out at 6 drop, and Toastmonster drew his when he needed it, and Mysterious sort of blanked on it a little bit. But that's how it goes. And I think up until that point, Toastmonster was still playing in a way that was better towards sort of getting there at the end of the game. He'd got more value out of his cards. He might have propped the traps of Mysterious, but in the end, it worked out better for him because he'd just got more value from everything, and the Dragon's Fury as well, which was quite clutch.
Yeah, I think in those kind of circumstances, it is really easy to kind of get a little bit carried away and a bit too aggressive. But the main thing was, it's like you said, he was being very cautious, being very patient. He knew he didn't have too much to play with, so there's plenty of options for him to actually kind of have a workaround to see exactly what he could do. So it's good stuff.
So this is another obviously aggro matchup. Big fan. Oh. And one thing I really love is that he's playing King Mukla in his rogue deck. It's a 3-mana 5/5. You just put it down on turn 3 and your opponent has nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, why have Diamol and Cold Blood where you can just use that straight away?
So he's gonna. So Toastmonster has again gone first, which is super key with an odd deck. You absolutely, if you go first and you have a 1-drop, that's perfect. That's really good for you. So he's gone first. He's got the ability to weapon down a Secret Keeper before. For example, if Mysterious had gone first, he'd been able to play Secret Keeper and then a Secret and snowball from there. But as it stands, now what can happen is if Mysterious plays it, it'll get hero powered away and nothing will happen. So he has to wait. He has to hold it this turn and then next turn go Secret Keeper, coin Secret if he wants to sort of have that do anything successfully or sort of eke value out of it.
Would you think it's probably worth it that if he does actually use the Secret Keeper and the Secret just to use Tar Creeper first, turn 3, just to hold it back?
I'll never tell.
Oh, he's played the Secret Keeper.
That just completely threw you off.
I didn't expect it. I thought he might hold on to it and wait to actually sort of make it more useful later on, where here it's just the expected turn 2 from an odd rogue is that they're going to hero power. So if you know that and you're putting down a minion with 2 health, it sort of feels a bit sort of dodgy. It's like a weird thing to do.
Yeah, that is quite surprising considering you can just weapon it straight away. It's, you know, we're talking about how Toastmonster's being very cost effective. Mysterious? Not really. No,
yeah. he's sort of, he's missed the mark on a lot of the aggro matchups being about just getting the absolute most from your cards in sort of taking value trades, and sometimes you don't play fast. You're not, because the aggressive changes as the game goes on. Sometimes you need to hold on and wait.
Yeah, because I'm not actually too sure if that was a mistake. I'd probably say it was just due to the fact that, you know, with some odd rogues anyway, maybe you put a Secret Keeper down just to stop him from dropping on the board at 1-mana drop like the Diamond or something, for example. But even then, it's you can make a lot of use out of that Secret Keeper in so many ways.
Yeah, if he was going first, it'd been great. But he went second, and I think he failed to recognise that. But it's important not to dwell on the mistakes. It's important to see what's happening with the rest of the game. And Toastmonster's he's got his Mukla down, and his Mukla's big already. And Mysterious has to find a way to combat this. His Secret's been procced. He hasn't got any sort of way to disrupt Toastmonster's turns. So what he has to do is he has to find a way that he can either put down minions that trade effectively with the minions that Toastmonster's playing, or find like a line where he can sort of buff that Spellstone a bit better, get that out early, and trade efficiently with that. Which is what it looks like he's looking to do, to be honest. It might not work, though.
I don't blame him for doing that option, though, because there's very few ways he can trade. Don't get me wrong, there is actually other ways he can do it, but it won't be for another turn or two, and he kind of needs, you know, just to get out of the way as quick as he can. And you're right, though, that card for this odd rogue kick is actually not too bad.
And Toastmonster here, he knows what's coming. He knows that next turn's going to be coin Spellstone from Mysterious because well, it's just been quite slow and he's played a Secret already. So what he's doing is he's setting himself up so that the Fungal Mancer can come down on the 2 1-attack minions, and they can trade really quite effectively into the 3/3s that are going to be on the board, which is what we'll actually see here. And suddenly it's going to be a bit of a runaway. I think Toastmonster's going to get very far ahead that, again, Mysterious finds himself really hoping for his one out, which is Deathstalker Rexar.
Yeah, even with that Rex's AoE, it's not going to make any difference. In all fairness, he's got the Divine Shield anyway, and the only thing he'll kill will be the Firefly. Not going to make too much difference. And even afterwards, you know, even if Toastmonster lost these minions, he's still got that Fug as well on top of that. He's got the Tar Creeper to kind of protect it for a little while. So he's still got other options, even if something did occur. But it's like I said, he is quite far ahead at the moment.
Yeah, well, he's used his hero power effectively. He's getting value out of that. That's another sort of understated fact with or understated sort of thing about these odd decks, is that the hero power is so powerful and it doesn't cost you a card that you can just trade it for so many things. Like, he effectively did nothing and killed his opponent's Secret Keeper for free just by having a better hero power. So that's why he's got ahead this game. He's managed to, well, just get better value out of what he's doing in his cards and his hero power by virtue of just being an odd deck, which is very good for him, I suppose.
No complaints at all. But he does have 2 trackings, though, so you can see exactly what you can get from this, just to see if you can deal with anything board-wise. Because, of course, you know, when you see matchups like Odd Rogue versus Odd Pally, it is quite difficult for the Rogue just due to the fact that it's easy for the Odd Pally to get a wider board. But for the Odd Rogue to get a wide board at this stage, with the Secret Hunter not having too much to deal with, you know, it's pretty difficult. But even if you use Animal Companion or anything like that, it's very, very risky. Don't get me wrong, you can get a 4-4 taunt to maybe delay one minion. He has a 4-2, so maybe he can trade. And if he does get out 2-4, then, you know, that could end things.
It could. What he's looking for with these trackings is Deathstalker Rexar, right? He's so desperate for it because if you look at the board, his opponent's board, everything has 2 health, except the Argent Squire. So he's trying his best to find the AoE. That kill command has said to Toast, I don't have it. Next turn, I will not be playing Rexar. It's not in my hand, because otherwise he just wouldn't have done that, would he?
No.
So Toast has sort of free license to just do what he wants. He doesn't have to worry about his board. He doesn't have to worry about anything, really. He just pushes as hard as he can, and he says, look, I see you're weak. I'm coming in for the kill. I'm going to end this game before turn 8.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, because that's why... That wasn't actually the main why he actually put the Tar Creeper down. That's why he put the Fug down as well, because he knows, you know what? I don't even need to take these risks. It's not even risk, technically, just due to the fact that he knows he doesn't have it. That's it.
Nothing. There's literally nothing Mysterious can do. It's the safest play. It's why it took him 10 seconds to make, because there's just nothing that Mysterious can do that punishes it. He doesn't run Unleash the Hounds. He's Explosive Trap isn't actually going to help him at all. The Rexar just is a nothing. It's just over. It's a checkmate. So the situation, although I don't really like that phrase.
What, checkmate?
Checkmate.
Is this chess?
No, it's Jenga.
Ah. Yeah, I did notice we were playing Jenga a little bit, actually. You know, he's building up his board, so technically, I don't know if it actually makes any sense. But anyway, Toastmonster, he's up 2-1 so far, and that's the main thing we spoke about before, is the fact that at least for the aggro mage, you know, either a quick win or quick loss. Wasn't actually either, it was just a standard win, so at least that way he managed to get back. But it's 2-1 now, but the only thing he has left is his own Hunter, and of course, Mysterious still has his own and Odd Rogue.
Yeah, it's going to be Hunter Mirror and Hunter versus Odd Rogue, and we're going to get to see, well, Toastmonster try and win it from the other side, so he has to appreciate that the Hunter deck might not be better at winning the board than the Rogue, but the way that you can use the traps and potentially use the Secret Keeper a bit better to make a minion that doesn't just die, he'll recognise that, and he'll be able to hopefully eke out value for him, or hopefully for him, and Mysterious playing favourites a bit, actually.
Yeah, a little bit.
I want Toastmonster to win. Can I do that? Can I just say I'd like Toastmonster to win, actually?
Are you basically saying, am I allowed to be biased?
Am I allowed to be biased? Of course I am.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll let you be biased. You know, your words, not mine. Anyway, but looking at this now, you know, straight away, Secret Keeper, Freeze Trap, not a bad start in all fairness. And one thing to remember, one thing I was actually going to say to you to begin with is the fact that for Toastmonster, what would have been the better matchup? Is this matchup actually better for him, or would it have been the Odd Rogue? But then again, I suppose it wouldn't matter just due to the fact that if he did lose to Evo, he's going to have to play the other one anyway.
Yeah, well, I've been informed by Board Controller, who is the creator or sort of the proprietor of this deck. He's the guy who made this deck a big deal.
The creator of this.
Well, he made this deck a big deal. It was his deck. He was playing it on stream. He was hitting top 10s with it, and then a couple of other pros sort of picked up on how good it was, and it's really taken off because of that. He says that you are favoured against Odd Rogue with this Hunter. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, because the hero power is really, really good. And
so they were just watching that stream, and they were just like, I'll be taking that. In a nutshell. And funny enough, you know, they both started with that Secret Keeper, so we're going to have to see exactly how they're going to trade off.
Yeah, I think Mysterious didn't know there that playing your own secret buffs your opponent's Secret Keeper. He does now. That's something he's just learned, I think, on the stage, where it's become very, very good for Toastmonster all of a sudden, because he can trade these two into the Secret Keeper, play his own secret, and suddenly he's ahead. He's gone second. His opponent had a 1-drop and a secret, and he's ahead, which is a phenomenal spot to be in early days.
This is the problem, like with these kind of mirror matches as well. It's the fact that, well, for now that's not going to happen anyway. But if it did happen, normally whoever keeps the Secret Keeper up after like the first few turns of the game doesn't go on to win it, but puts them pretty far ahead in terms of like their situation, how things go.
Yeah, this is actually. I missed there was a freezing trap. I thought it was explosive for some reason. But now we're in a really weird position where both players want to play secrets, but playing secrets is actually sort of buffing their opponent a bit. And, well, what this means for Toastmonster is that eventually he's going to get better with this, because he has a better turn 4 and a better turn 5 in his hand than Mysterious does. So, although it's like a weird sort of parity, one of the players is definitely losing and one of them is definitely winning, but it's hard for them to work out who's doing what, because they just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why they've been really, really patient at the moment. But, you know, Toast, he's probably thinking, why have one secret keeper? We're not going to have two.
Yeah.
Why not? I don't blame him in all fairness. And just try and get the most out of it. Of course, every secret you do play will affect both your opponents and your own secret keeper. But at least Taylor's got two on the board to buff and just keep him at bay. But even with his Eagle bow, I'm not really too sure what he can do. Maybe he can trade if he doesn't get anything down here.
Oh, the trading is so awkward, though, because Toastmonster's played... So he's been fortunate, I guess, enough to draw the board secrets. He's got Venom Strike trap down, he's got Snake trap down. That means that when Mysterious tries to take value trades back, he ends up losing sort of more board position because his opponent just gets everything on board. He gets the Snake that kills something, he gets a bunch of 1/1s that sort of chip in damage and reduce any ability for Mysterious to value trade. So it's going to become very awkward for Mysterious very quickly when he realizes that both of these traps really, really punish him in a way that's just not pleasant, as you can see.
Yeah, he's thinking he's actually helping himself in some ways, but he had to take that risk to try and get some kind of trade down. But in some ways, he actually just made matters worse, in all fairness.
Oh yeah, it's definitely made matters worse. His Secret Keeper just dies now to the, well, it dies on board to the 1/1s, but it also dies to the Flanking Strike in hand, which is just the turn. So, oh, actually, with that pickup. but Flanking Strike's just the turn, and suddenly he's gone first, but he's so behind. He's got no board presence. He's got one charge on his Eaglehorn bow, which is regarded again by some of the people who have built this deck and played this deck a lot as not the best card in the deck.
And this is the second time now I've seen a Helmmaster, and he hasn't got really anything else to play with it afterwards. He could have done it with other minion, but even then he hasn't got enough mana. And I've seen that like at least 2 or 3 times now in 2 different matches, and I think even before he had 2 Handmasters, and he still couldn't do anything about it. And he's thinking, yeah, and it was funny that whole time where Mysterious was looking for a Rexer the entire time. Toastmonster's like, oh, don't worry.
And the thing is, like, he doesn't want... it's so strange, because Toastmonster doesn't even want the Rexar here. What he wants to do is he wants to play these 4 wolves. He wants to go face, put his opponent down to 12, and then next turn, he's probably just going to use his hero power to kill him. There's your super speedy aggro win, if you were looking for one.
I never thought that this kind of matchup would actually be faster than the last one with the aggro mage. I would have thought that would have been the quickest depending on the circumstances of the first few turns, but complete opposite end of the spectrum. But you were right, though. Due to that one instance from earlier, it's caused Toastmonster to have a huge board control now. And
the only way that Mysterious doesn't lose next turn is that he plays Wandering Monster and Explosive Trap, which is what he's doing. And when Toastmonster attacks in, the minion that gets summoned from the Wandering Monster has spell damage, and then the Explosive Trap does 3 damage to everything. That's the only way that Mysterious doesn't lose this game now.
Yeah, I was just saying, imagine as well. It was a nice thought, though. It was a nice thought.
It was such a nice thought, wasn't it? We really wanted to see that, and then... Oh, well, there you go. That's Toastmonster winning the series 3-1. Very, very quick fashion.
And it shows as well that, you know, not being too biased. It's like, yes, he won 3-1. It doesn't matter. But, of course, like you said, Toastmonster does take that 3-1 and wasn't too comfortable fashion. It's just the fact that those first few turns just gave him the edge. But... you know, then again, we know what Mysterious is like. He's had consistent top 3 placements in every single season, so we'll hopefully have to see if he makes that nice little losers bracket.
Well, I like Mysterious. I think he's a very consistent, very good player, and he's very friendly and very nice behind the stage, but I love Toastmonster more, and I really want to see him take this tournament. He works so hard, and he's so knowledgeable about the game that it's, for me, it's a joy to see him win. I want to see him take this whole thing down.
But do you know who's also very friendly?
Who?
Jackie. All right, mate.
I'm not friendly. How dare you?
Oh, sorry. I was trying to be nice to you.
No, it's all right, mate. I'll let you off on that one. I am quite a nice guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, someone that is going to be very chuffed with himself, of course, is Toastmonster. He makes salmon in a bag in his toaster bag, and he also cooks up some lovely wins on a Hearthstone bag.
That's nice. I've never used one of those bags, to be fair.
No?
No.
Available now at the store.
Yeah. Other brands are available, of course, of toaster bags. Pick up your Leroy toaster bags in shops today. Ooh, sounds like they're ready backstage with the toaster bags. But we do have the post-match roundup for that series. A 3-1, much, much faster. That was a speedy one, to say the least.
Yeah, it's like we said right at the beginning, you know, both of these players are playing these aggro lineups. We knew it was going to be quite quick. To be fair, the first game was, you know, very, very slow. But in those kind of lineups between the Secret Hunter and the Token Druid, it's, you know, a little bit what we expected. But the story here is that Mysterious just tried to do something with that Hunter, but just never had the chance to make anything of it, to be fair.
It's something I like to talk about sometimes, where the player who's losing with the deck keeps playing the deck over and over again, gets so sort of caught up in playing the deck that they just start making a couple of mistakes and then potentially lose their grip on the series.
They love their repetition, don't they, very much?
Yeah, I'm just digging a deeper and deeper hole. Eventually you hit bedrock. can't get through that.
No, I can't.
Can't get through that. Just doesn't work. And it did not work out for Mysterious. He loses out. M&M struggling this event. Players are starting to drop out a little bit. And you know what might help him out, Leroy? Something that I believe you're a big fan of.
Oh.
It's, of course, the AOC monitors that we have up on stage. Everyone can get involved with those. If you would like to move a chance to win one, head on over to the link down below. Jump in and grab yourself a monitor. Harry, you love those monitors.
I love it. I love playing Hearthstone 144 Hz. Can ask for better, really.
Really taking the detail.
Yeah.
That's
well, you need to. You need to be able to see every pixel of every card, and if you can't, why are you even playing? What's the point?
Yeah, I just want the smoothest cards possible to deal with.
Smoothest possible experience. You know who provides that?
Who's that?
Someone up on stage, and it, of course, is the 200 Hz lady herself, Frankie Ward. She's in position. Let's get that interview with big old Toastmonster.
200 Hz look like, Jackie? Am I just constantly vibrating like that? Or maybe I'm very smooth, and experience with me on stage is the smoothest you'll ever find. And talking of smooth people, you slid into the next stage of the competition, Toast. You are the slayer of your own teammates. It's very Game of Thrones. Did you expect to beat Mysterious so quickly?
Definitely not. I mean, sort of on paper, I was kind of unfavoured, but I got some good matchups. I drew them well. I think I made a couple of mistakes that could have been sort of sharpened up and would have helped, but I was able to get there in the end anyway.
I mean, aggro versus aggro. So you're saying you think that actually Mysterious had the edge. So how did you manage to tip things in your favour?
I think it was just sort of trying to think of how to play around everything he could do on his turn and just try and create the most awkward board state for sort of his best possible turn, and I was able to do that.
We know Mysterious is a super strong player, as are you, my friend. So do you think that we could see you guys playing again in the grand final tomorrow?
Quite possibly. It may be quite difficult for Mysterious now in the lower bracket. There's now quite a lot of anti-aggro, so it might be quite difficult to try and get the aggro lineups through. So obviously very pleased to win that I now don't have to try and do that.
And hello, Leroy. We know he's a tough critic, despite the fact that he was basically beaten by everyone here because he's not playing on this stage this weekend. But he says he loves you. Have you got any nice words for him back?
I love Leroy. He's great. He's a bit... You have to have him in small doses because sometimes he gets these crazy conspiracy theories and it might rub off a bit too much. But small doses, Leroy's good, yeah.
I love a small dose of Leroy too, especially those jazz hands. And that sack we all know and love from season